Well, good morning, everybody. How are you? Here we are in week number, was it 43? It's blocked on my screen here. I'm glad you joined us. So welcome to the weekly financial roundtable, where we recognize that money isn't the most important thing in life, but it is like oxygen on the gotta have it scale. And a lot of images and thoughts come up with this particular picture here. So listen, I am so excited about today because we're going to have Stefanie Fox Jackson joining us. We've got another guest, and we're going to talk about talent. So the roundtable is created, curated, sponsored, all that kind of stuff by Qnity. A great job, Qnity team, to help make this production. Did I say production? This started out as just an informal, just share every week. Now it's a production. Anyway, listen, I think the whole Qnity idea is built upon how we can go from a state of confusion, overwhelm, a lack of clarity to a high degree of focus. And the Qnity vision is based upon earning more money, doing what you love, and having a great quality of life. The focal point of these sessions are about money. Thanks to our brain trust. Look at this wall of fame. I think we're going to have to redo this, Michelle. We got to add names. Stefanie will be added to this name today. And thanks to all the contributors. It does remind me of something. We have a guest next week. Wow, how rare for me to actually announce next week's guest. Anyway, next week, we are going to have rejoining us on the roundtable the one and only Luke Carlson, as well as his CFO, Jessica, from Discover Strength, which builds a ton of wisdom from the fitness industry. They're innovators as it relates to customer service, profitability. He's a great guy, and he's agreed to come back next week with his CFO. So that's going to be a really cool session. I know many of you got a bunch of stuff from Luke when we met with him back in, I think it was September. Just some of the unique things that he's doing that really very much parallel your business model. Last week we had Sheila Wilson. Terry McKee also was involved. Great shares on doing live events. And so thank you, Sheila and Terry, from last week. So we hope that you will have some light bulb moments today. And as part of a light bulb moment, we do send out a 9 grid. Feel free to use the 9 grid to put your light bulb moment there and come up with your notes and action plan after the call. This week's guest is going to be Stefanie Fox Jackson from Talent Match. We're going to get to hear from her very soon. Past recordings of the roundtables are in the Plan for Profits portal. Those of you that are enrolled in our profit course, and they're now on YouTube. So we now have them all on YouTube, which is going to make it a heck of a lot more convenient for you to go back upon past episodes. Michelle can put something in the chat if you need any more information about that, but heads up. Sponsors, Aura and Vish, they have great products that are technology related. There's definitely a link to profitability and the types of products that they offer. So shout out to them and thanks to them. Also a heads up, we are starting a school financial roundtable. It is going to start May 12th. Going forward, we will have our 10 a.m. financial roundtable for salons and spas, 10 a.m. Central Time. And then noon, we'll have it for schools. If you haven't picked it up on the little logo here, you can see that the clock, the word financial, puts a point on the clock when that time is in case you get confused. Also, we are opening up enrollment next week for 2 to 10. And I did send some posts out that this morning. The theme is together again, because we will be together again, human to human, without this vapor between us that's known as technology. So some of the light bulb moments that we've had from previous members of the Brain Trust are from Terry McKee, and wanted to be high tech and high touch. And then Nicole Cumberlander, good morning, Nicole. I think you and Skylar will probably join us this morning. If you stay ready, you don't need to get ready. So in that vein, what we're going to do is we're going to do a community share. And let's see if Kathy can come off the mic. Kathy, let's see you and hear from there. You are.
Good morning.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So we're going to do just a quick share here, and thank you for agreeing to share from the community. You are from Ann Arbor, Michigan. You have one location. You have about 40 people. Been in business how many years?
25.
25. Is that all? Okay, 25 years of contribution, impact. Thank you. So you and I could handle an entire session together. But I was inspired yesterday when I had a chance to talk to you. So you're a late minute addition to the lineup. Actually, everybody's a late minute addition to the lineup because we don't invite until Tuesday. So anyway, there's a few things that came out of our conversation. Kathy, you've got some takeaways from the roundtable. I think this is a really good time to really celebrate some of the things that people have taken action on. So let's cover three different points in the roundtable, because you've been on, I don't know how many of these roundtables, but it's a lot.
Yeah, I love them. I get a lot out of them.
So first of all, you learned something from Nicole and Orlando Cumberlander, and you not only learned from it, you did. So let's talk about that first.
Yes. I really enjoyed listening to them speak, and I really loved one of the nuggets and takeaway was playing at a big level. And they suggested sending pizzas to the cosmetology school. So I did that last week, actually. So I had two of my very successful stylists that are 21 in age pick up the pizzas, and we put marketing on the top of the pizzas. And that worked out very well. I just want to show you what we did. This is can you see this?
Yeah, hold it up even closer. Oh, nice. Okay, yep. QR code.
Yeah, so it's just congratulating the class of 2021, and then the URL code directed them to a YouTube video of me congratulating them and welcoming them into the industry. So, and just to give you a little, in the last 6 days, our content interactions on our social media are up 292%. So that's all the likes, comments, and shares from that demographic. So thank you for that.
And that is amazing. And what about applicants? Have you tracked the number of applicants?
So again, this was just 6 days ago, and they're all graduating. Like they're starting to graduate right now, but we have had like 3 this week, and I have a trial shift today, actually. So it worked very well. And I will take this and continue this every year for each graduating class. I think that was a really great idea that I will implement.
Excellent. I love hearing that. And I'm sure Stefanie's eating that up because she's all about talent and recruitment. So let's go on to the next one. So Robert Cromins was on 2, maybe 4 weeks ago. I can't believe it's that long. I haven't even checked to see if Robert's with us this morning. But anyway, you got something out of that session too. Not only got something, you're a doer, man. Tell me what you did after that session.
So, he talked a lot about how he has pivoted from the pandemic, and we too have had to change our advanced education program. Before COVID, we would hire 4 to 6 and do a training session of, that went over about a 3-month period, and then they would assist in the salon at that time. Instead, now we have our advanced training we're just going to go one-on-one to really customize the education that they need and do that within a 4-week period. So, and that was kind of what Robert kind of talked about that, and that inspired a quicker way to train, but still highly effective.
I love it. All right, let's go to the last one. I know you had several others, but Sam Bricata.
Yeah.
Sam inspired you also it was mindset related, but also, some shifts. So Sam's had so many different shares. I'm assuming Sam's on here, he's on every week. So it's hard to pick out. There's so many nuggets from Sam, but what did you pick out from Sam?
So, when he spoke, which I love Sam, by the way, and he talked about merging his 2 locations together, which I did that at one time back in 08 and 09. But he also was talking about the next step for him, and was talking about being on a lease or not being on a lease for his next location. And that really resonated well with me because I'm about to move locations and sign a lease. And so it just made me start thinking about that.
Awesome. They're all in the house, by the way, Robert, Nicole, and Sam. So it's awesome. So it's nice for them to see they make an impact. So that's part of we do this is to thank members of the Brain Trust. I want to also touch upon something that we'll save for another day, but I think it's something that I know you're passionate about, and some might be familiar with this, but maybe not all, and that has to do with something called open book management. So I'm going to give you just like 1 or 2 minutes just to kind of summarize what is open book management, how you use it in your business, and then we can always come back to you in another week as a member of the Brain Trust.
Great. So we practice open book management here at my salon, which means everyone knows the score. So every week in our team meeting, we sit down. Well, actually, we don't sit down. But I'll explain that a different time. But where we share all the numbers from the week, we share total sales, we share each department, the spa, hair, and nails. We talk about client count, average ticket. We share things like what's going on in culture for the week, and really report what happened last week. And then we set goals for what we're going to do in the following week. And I would really encourage you all to look into that. It first started with Jack Stack with The Great Game of Business. That's a book that he wrote. And from there, I went on to more training at a place here in Ann Arbor called Zing Train, which they're a really amazing company. But it's just nice, it's the philosophy is if I'm up at night worried about something, so is everyone else. But if I'm celebrating, so are they. So it really is effective here.
Yeah, open book management is a wildly popular method in a variety of industries. And it's one of those things where you either, and this is an oversimplification, some people just aren't into that. And some owners prefer to be much more, keep their cards close to their chest. I applaud you. I'm a big advocate of sharing and making the numbers visual. It always comes down to one thing when it's open book management where it gets a little bit dicey, and that has to do with compensation. So before we let you go, how do you deal with compensation and confidentiality around that within open book management? That's just my own curiosity.
So our compensation is confidential here, and the numbers that we share, we don't go quite that deep with the whole team, but we do post like retail. It's not hard to figure out because we post all of our retail numbers, and we with our the software that we use, they all have access to the reports and each other's numbers. So they can go into a sales ranking report and see that. So it's, even though we don't share the number exactly, you can kind of see where everyone's at.
All right. Kathy, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
This does warrant awarding the $1 million light bulb. So you are officially a member of the Brain Trust. So let's everybody give you a virtual applause, and thanks for jumping in to join us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. So let's see here. All right. This week's guest, Stefanie Fox Jackson. Do I call you Stefanie Fox or Stefanie Jackson, or do I use both?
You can call me Stefanie Fox.
Stefanie Fox. Well, good morning, Stefanie Fox. It's nice to see you.
Thanks. Nice to see you too.
So I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. I've been dying to get you into the conversation, and I've known you for many years. We've done a little bit of collaboration here and there, and I know you were moderator on a panel that Aaron was on, and so you do great work out there. You sold your salon. It was last September, I believe.
Yep.
And congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You've moved on to the next act. Now, when I say next act, you had 2 acts to begin with, but it's really focusing on. And your big focus is on talent. And
it is.
What blew me away, I think you and I talked, gosh, it was last fall, and I always keep my notes and stuff. And we were talking about someone else that we had some other things we were covering, and you exposed me to this study. Now I've got to print it out 6 to a page. Okay. And it is the 2020 Beauty Industry Workforce Report. And the findings in this I was blown away. All right. So first of all, tell us a little bit about a study. It's like 20,000. How do you do a study with 20,000 people?
Yeah. Well, I can thank Paul Mitchell and a lot of other schools, the Aveda Network, just people, when I reached out to them to ask for participation and then to share the survey link, the response was overwhelming. And I'm so grateful for that. I've been conducting research since, I think my first survey was in 2011. And it started with salon owners, really understanding what they were feeling challenged with when it came to their team. And eventually I started recognizing that I wanted to know straight from the team. I was in this position professionally at the time with Red Chocolate, where I was in a lot of salons and I was talking to a lot of salon owners and a lot of the talent. And I just recognized there was this huge miss. Like, we had this giant gap between us. And I just really wanted to know. I often remember that it was a little selfish at first, because I was in that bucket that's Gen Y that now we call millennials. And I'm like, wow, all these things they think about us. Like, I'm not like that, and I just kind of wanted to prove that we didn't necessarily have to fit the stereotypes. So I wanted to understand where those stereotypes were coming from. And that research has just evolved, and it's really evolved to be very laser focused on what the workforce says. And I do interview salon owners still, of course, and managers. And I just want to know from all sides, like, why are we missing each other, and how do we not do that anymore?
Yeah, I love it. And let's get into some of the findings there, okay?
Sure.
And there's definitely some highlights that you have. There's some that I have, but let's go first to, I think we talked about first was cost of new talent and missing opportunities and that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. So when I think about, the pain point of I can't find staff, and it's the common thing I hear from salon owners, right? They just say, I can't find them. It's like, where are all the people? What I feel like we miss, because it feels so hard, is the actual financial opportunity it brings to our business. It's really easy to look around and think, well, we're doing okay, right? We've got people in every level. We're moving forward. They're growing. I don't need to hire right now. And then most people on this call, I would imagine, myself included, have experienced that moment where we then lose a staff member. And it's like, oh gosh, like, now we're behind. Like, now we need somebody and we needed them yesterday. And we lose revenue because of it, right? We're not prepared. We don't have a person at the right talent level. So I really think it's important to get clear on the value new talent brings to our business and their growth potential in comparison to an existing staff member.
yeah, I'm sure this is music to many people's ears. And let's continue here. So we talked about preferences of students. This really is very rich information. So let's talk about some. I think you mentioned a few different data points. So let's go there next.
Yeah. So my 3 favorite data points of the survey, because I hear people say so often that they can't find staff, was, well, where are the staff and are they picking us? And so the first one, 69% of the students said they actually want to work in one of our salons as an employee after they graduate. And that was like, yay, like, they want us. Like, we think that they're going to the sweet side, or that that's what they want, but it's actually not. The majority of them want to come work for us. And then the next data point, 71% of the 69% said, but I want to work for myself eventually. And it was like a knife in your heart. It's like what keeps all of us up at night. It's so stressful. It's what we all worry about. But the most hopeful data point of the entire survey follows that one. And it was that 89% of them said, yes, but I would stay if the salon could meet all of my needs. And so that is such a huge opportunity.
Say that again.
89%.
I want to hear that again.
Yeah. 89% of that 71% that said, I want to go, said they would stay if we could meet their needs.
Okay.
89%. Significant.
That begs the question then, what are their needs? Because
absolutely.
Needs is what we think are needs may not actually be needs from this. So this is really, go there. What are the needs?
Yeah. Well, the number one need, why do they pick us, is culture. It's like exactly what we would imagine. It's what all of us intuitively know when we talk to each other. We say, oh yeah, how do you keep staff? We say culture, but it's actually how we find staff too. Like, what's our magic? That's what I call it. I call culture our magic. It's like that living, breathing thing inside of our business. That's what they want. And so we have to think about how to attract people into the type of culture they would thrive in. I think we miss that sometimes. We just hire because we're in a jam, because we haven't planned properly, because we lost a staff member. And sometimes just because we don't know how to vet if they're the right fit for us. That's a heavy lift. It's really hard.
When you talk about culture, are you suggesting that being part of a team is, or is that, do you consider that to be a separate need, or is that bundled under culture?
I would bundle it all together. The number one thing they said they cared about when they picked a salon was a team that feels like a family.
Okay. All right. Whoa, 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 whoa. Please say that one again.
Yeah, right. Team that feels like a family. And there's lots of types of families out there, which is great because we don't have to think that every future person in the workforce is for us. We can define like, what is our family? Who are we? What do we value? And then do a really great job of helping people understand that about us so that they can come work for us.
So team is point of difference. And let's stay there a little bit longer because I'm super intrigued with this. How would a salon really celebrate that? And how would that come across to a recruit?
Well, after schools, which is the number one way they say they find us, the number two way, there were two things tied, one of which is Instagram. So how would they know about our team? Instagram. You need to be using Instagram, not just as a marketing funnel to attract consumers, but as a marketing funnel to attract talent. So all the magic of your team, everything that's awesome about you guys, not just your technical work, but like the essence of who you are, you need to put it on blast on your Instagram, right? Because it's the first place they're checking for you. So when your team is hanging out in the break room, laughing about something, snap a candid. When they are working together and doing some amazing technical service, take a picture. When you have a party together, take a picture. When they're jamming to some music, take a video. Like whatever it is that's amazing about you guys, capture it and share it.
So you said the first place they're going to go is Instagram. Boy, has that shifted in the ages, okay? But you're literally saying Instagram number one.
Schools number one, Instagram and Indeed number two. They were literally neck and neck in percentage.
Indeed and Instagram neck
and Instagram. And that just still, like, it just speaks to the power of different technology and the difference in our workforce, because Instagram has no job posting functionality on it. And it's how they find us, equal to a major job platform. So that's amazing. I mean, it speaks volumes to, like, they can't find out about our culture on Indeed very well, right? Unless you're very savvy at writing a job description that explains your brand, but there's nothing aesthetic about it. It's just the writing. So they're popping over to a visual viewpoint of your team and your culture and your brand and the work you do and all the things about you.
Yeah, I've got some mental shifts occurring right now with me that I'll put in the parking lot so we can focus on you. We're talking about needs, and you talked about culture, and I asked you to unpack that a little bit and see how team fits in. What are some of the other needs that from their perspective needs to be met?
Well, the number two after a team that feels like a family is the ability to grow. And I don't know about any of the other salon owners on this call, but that's like, yes, like, I want you to come work for me with a desire to grow, because we can work on that and we can help you thrive and grow, and that helps you and it helps the business. So, we could, there's so much to unpack on how do we help people grow, right? I would say the first thing is it's on us to be great leaders and to have great coaching and to have great metrics and to have great expectations. I mean, I'm sure you're going to take that somewhere, Tom. Like, there's so much to the ability to grow.
Yeah, that's its own deep dive, and I'm gonna have to be careful that I don't start going down. Let's continue with the list. Other needs.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a great time to talk about why they say they leave us, because this is where we can back into how do we flip that script, right, and make it a positive in our scenario. So 3 things: flexibility, number one reason they say they leave. And I believe we've done a great job out of necessity coming back from the pandemic of getting very flexible. It was something we got our arm twisted on because we were bound by, restrictions and occupancy and schedules that people now had with their kids in school. Like, we had no choice. It was like, you had to get flexible. So I think that's something to explore in your brand, is how do you think differently about weekends and evenings and just schedules, what their input to the schedule that they work looks like. I liken this to look around us at this on-demand economy we live in and all of the jobs available to people. Now, I say jobs, not necessarily careers, but the correlation doesn't always fit for the workforce. Jobs where you can just opt in to work when you feel like working, right? And we see tech showing up in beauty that's offering something similar, more on-demand service options, on demand in somebody's home, on demand in a location. So I think we have to start to just explore and lean in to what does that look like? What does flexibility really look like?
Okay, first of all, I wrote the word combination of flip the script. I mean, it's the words that are used is so vital in terms of how you connect with another human. But we want to unpack that. I want to come to something from your study because you said flexibility is number one. So according to your study, I did read this, by the way, 53% of stylists want schedule covered in their first interview, compared
Yes.
with 45% want compensation discussed. Whoa, hold on here. I want to be a little dramatic about this. So they want to talk about their schedule more than their compensation. Am I hearing this right?
You are.
Okay.
You are. And in the reasons that they leave in the top three, money's the bottom. It's the number three.
Yeah. Okay. What are some of the other needs? I know you mentioned things like autonomy and.
Yeah. Autonomy. And this is, autonomy is that reason why people go to be entrepreneurs, right? It's why we work for ourselves. So all of us on this call probably resonate highly with a desire for autonomy. So we've got to think creatively about how we offer up some autonomy in our business. And the example I like to give, because I think it's the easiest place to explore autonomy, just if you want to dip your toe in, is the dress code. Like what can you do that gives people a sense of autonomy around how they show up in the way that they look? So I think, there's a lot of places we could go with autonomy, but I feel like for people that are like, okay, how do I kind of dip my toe in there and give people a sense of ownership over their experience? Think about your dress code. I'm going to give an example real quick about one of your members, I think. So Deborah Penzone is a great mentor of mine. I'm in the market here in Columbus with the Penzone. And her and I were chatting a few years ago, and she said, yeah, we finally decided they could wear jeans. And we now let them wear hats if they're, if it works with their style. And it's like, those are great examples of giving people a sense of autonomy. That otherwise there was this hard and steadfast rule, like no denim, no hats.
Yeah.
But fashion was kind of leading you the other way.
Yeah, it also relates with personal expression too, and freedom to be who you are and express yourself, but still keep within boundaries, because there is professionalism that's needed in the dress code. Okay, we've got autonomy. Let's see what else. What else are their needs that they want to have met?
Well, the next one in terms of why they leave was money, right? So there is a financial component to the need. How much am I earning? What's my potential? And another data point in the survey that I loved is that 94% of them said they want to work somewhere with goals. So that's a huge one. That's a huge need. It speaks to their desire to grow and to work in a place that has an ability to grow. So I think we can unpack those two, the ability to grow plus I want goals, and that dives straight down into who's leading them. That's not something they can do well on their own. If as humans, we were great at achieving goals on our own, like we would all be super fit and very wealthy, and like we're just not great at it. Like we need people around us that help guide and lead and mentor and help us stretch and hold us accountable. And so those are big ones, big opportunities for us to keep that 89% of people that want to be in a business like ours.
Stefanie, this is such good stuff. Such good stuff. How are we doing out there, community? I can't check chat because I'm in a conversation here, but I'm dying to read the chat. I'm seeing a lot of things pop up, all caps, love it. You've got, this is so helpful. Stefanie deserves 2 light bulbs.
Oh, thanks.
Robert, that's up for me to decide, Robert Cromins, whether she gets 2, because then that opens up the door for everybody else that did a great job too. You do deserve 2 light bulbs. I will give credit for that one. The chat, blow that chat up. Let's talk about the friendship piece. This was like a, whoa, I didn't necessarily, well, parts of this I understood, but parts of it is a mind shift for me. So go there next.
Yeah, so one of the data points that I also felt like was pretty awesome and hopeful, but also pushes on some comfort levels for people, is that 91% of them want a boss that feels like a friend and gives performance feedback. And when I talk about friendship to a lot of salon owners, I get this kind of, I'm not their friend, I'm their boss. Or I get the other reaction, which is friendship is really easy. It's the feedback part that's really hard.
Mm.
Like we kind of straddle one or the other. We're not really good typically at doing both. And it feels to me like that provides an amazing opportunity for us to, as a network of salon owners, think about how do we develop ourselves to be better at conversations around growth, accountability, performance, and be willing to get really connected and in the weeds with them, like on a personal level.
I was just having this conversation with an owner yesterday afternoon. That is, I don't want to reveal too much about this, but this is a very timely topic. And it is a very fine line between being a friend and being a boss. And the thing that comes to mind is going out for drinks afterwards and partying and that kind of stuff. And there's a slippery slope here. And we've seen many leaders stumble because they weren't able to separate church and state, so to speak. So talk about this a little bit further.
Yeah, so when I unpack the word friendship with the respondents to the survey, what it really means is relationship. Like they want to be in relationship. And I compare this to, for myself, like who do I want feedback from? I want feedback from the people that I know care about me. So I want feedback from my mentors. I want feedback from close friends. I want feedback from family members that I trust. Essentially the people that I know have my back. I'll use Brene Brown's work. It's the people that you know are in the arena with you. And so what we're really looking at is that your workforce wants you to give them feedback, but they want to know that that feedback is coming from a great place, that you care about them, that you love them. One of my mentors, through kind of a person that I do some coaching work for, his closest mentor is Howard Behar, which is the previous CEO of Starbucks. So I've had the privilege of being in many conversations with Howard, and he talks about servant leadership, and he talks about the word love and how you should love your people. And it's like, yeah, you should love your people. Like that is relationship, that is friendship, because then when you come to them with advice that they're going to have a million personal barriers to, because none of us like having something pointed out that doesn't feel good, right? Like where we have a gap, because it's hard, we get those automatic defenses of, oh, I know, or we get the tears, or there's so many responses. But when love precedes the feedback, right? When friendship precedes the feedback, it changes the whole conversation.
Yeah, something's coming to mind here for me. So at Qnity, we have this practice called ACE, and it's an acronym. It's AACE. It stands for Appreciate, Care, Challenge, and Encourage. We did a survey asking the workforce what was the most important thing that they wanted to receive from a coach or a boss. And they all did respond. We did a wordsmith to see what words came up the most. And the two words that came out the most were embedded in this acronym. They want to be challenged, and they want to know that they care. So care and challenge very much fits with what you're suggesting here, is that intimate relationship, that you care, use the word friend, but they do want feedback. They want to be challenged. And so that's one piece. Another thing, I did a study for a big brand, and they were trying to figure out how to keep more of their staff. And it was a big brand, and they had a lot of locations. And ultimately, sometimes I have to be brutally honest when someone hires me to help them. And the cover of the report I had was all these faces. And I basically told them, you're a faceless organization, because no one knows who they work for. People want to know who they work for. Would you agree with that?
I would. I have kind of three statements that I think tell this story, which is you need to know your story, you need to tell your story, and you need to live your story well. And I think about that with recruiting. Like if I was going to give you any three tips, it's identify the story, go tell it to the world and all the places you know that our future workforce is. And then when they land in your business, live it. Like whatever it is you told them about yourself, make sure it's truth, because that's what attracted them to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stefanie, this is just great information. I got to tell you, I love it. Let me see if there's any questions that we should address. We've got a lot of comments. Okay, where do they get a copy of the study? And Michelle will type it in the chat. Should they go to
Yeah,
your?
so yep, if you go to talentmatch.biz, there's going to be a pop-up that comes up at you. That is an invitation to actually take the 2021 survey. So please do that because it is still live and it's the kind of current rendition of this survey. And in the top right-hand corner of the website, you'll see a little gold box and it says like, find out how to hire stylists or something like that. That's the link to the survey.
So Brain Trust members do not ask for a plug, nor did you. But I will give you a plug because you have a course that is going to not only go through the study, but it's going to teach them how to put it in action. So that course is going to launch when?
Here in the next couple of weeks. I don't have the exact date yet. My development team is kind of, dependent for that, but here in the next few weeks. So we do have pre-registration though for people that want to take it, or get signed up for it.
Okay, well, that's great. I do hope that many of you take advantage of this with Stefanie and are able to get this wisdom to the point where you can apply it. I want to, can I stay in the study a little bit longer with you? Is there anything else?
Yeah, go for it.
Because there's some other things that blew me away here. You covered a lot of them. Number one, a team that feels like family. Reasons they want to work in a salon before they rent. You listed 93% want to build a clientele, 78% want to learn from others first, 71% want more training, 49% want access to the team, and 29% are nervous to work for themselves. Any comments about that?
I mean, I would just say, is anybody surprised, right? Like, I'm not, why would we want to go work for somebody before we put ourselves in a position to be responsible for building our own talent, finding our clients, like, getting a hang of what the flow of the business looks like. I mean, they want to come learn everything we're going to teach them, and they're very clear that they want to come do that. I talk about this a lot recently. I've had this awareness of, we have this resistance as an industry to people leaving, which I totally understand. And I have firsthand experienced the pain, both in my heart and in my, bank accounts to losing staff. But I feel like we have to change the way we talk about people leaving, and we have to change the narrative because they're gonna leave. We likely all left somewhere in order to do the thing that we're doing. And if it's meant to be that path for somebody, then fantastic. But we just need to up the level of professionalism around those conversations, because historically what we've had is this kind of, shady reality where it's like, you don't know they're going to leave until the day they're leaving, or, they tell you they're leaving and they're not going to, solicit people, or that, they tell you one narrative and then they do another. Like, there's so many just heartbreaking stories of bad experiences for people leaving. And I just think it can be a different way. And I'll share in my personal experience, I have had it be a different way because I experienced people leaving in a way that just shocked me. I was not prepared for it. I thought I was doing everything to avoid it. I was, openly talking from the time of hire all the way through about, if you want to leave, just talk to me about it. Let's do this right. And then it didn't happen that way. And it like broke my heart. And so I had to go back and really revisit my opportunity as a leader to do it differently. And what ended up happening for me is in July of last year, I sold a book of business to a stylist, and then I helped her sign her lease, and I helped her set up her LLC. And, I helped her do all the things that I knew she wanted to do and I knew she was going to be successful in. And we had this great dynamic around it. And it made me feel amazing, because what I want more than anything for my team and for anybody, it's really the essence of the work I do, is for us all to do what it is that we love. That is where
that's
just life satisfaction.
Yeah, that's out of the box. And everybody was relating with what you're saying, I'm sure, about getting your heart ripped out by someone that you thought was so loyal. You just talked to him last week about a long-term career. You just paid for a trip to Paris for them, and it's like they're gone, and just what it does to you, and the anger and the emotion. And so basically what you did is you identified someone that wanted to exit. You helped them with the exit, and very intriguing. So did they go solo then, or did they open up okay.
She went solo. Yep. And the way that it worked out is I had this loss, right, of talent a few years ago, and I ended up having to pursue them. They had a non-compete, they broke their non-compete. And I felt this sense of like, I don't do this, the rest of my team's going to think my non-compete's a joke, So I felt like I had to go down this path. I won my non-compete fight, and I came back and I revised my existing non-compete, and I edited the clause in there around what it looked like to leave. And I basically added in a segment that said, look, if you want to leave, I will help you. You can buy your book of business. I'll be your bank, essentially. I'll be your marketing person. Like the same way I had to go to the bank and get a loan and save all my money to fund my own startup, I'll help you do that. I want to change the narrative of people thinking that they can just take what was invested in them. And so that's what I did with my team, and it worked. She came to me and she said, I don't think I can afford my whole book of business. Now, mind, there was no formula in this contract. It just said, you have this option and we can do this. You come talk to me. She came to me and she said, I want to buy my top 10 clients. And I'm like, okay, I'll come back to you with a number.
Hold
Yeah.
on. This whole topic has just got me thrown a little bit for a, I am dying to see people's comments about this. I'm seeing forward thinking, love this idea. It's out of the box. I get to hear a lot, Stefanie, every single day, every week. This one is unique. Listen, it happens in other industries, and you got even a brilliant comment from my friend Kip and Sheila. So that is really interesting. That's very innovative, Steph. That's one of the reasons I invited you, because you're smart, you're innovative. This is good stuff. So,
I just feel like it's kind of logic. It's like, I wanted to open a business. I had to have money. I had to go do all the things. I didn't just get to walk into somebody else's salon and say, hey, I'm going to take all this and like, go do it. So what I found worked for me in my non-compete pursuit actually is kind of what led me to this thinking, which is I typically hire out of schools like most people here, which means that they're coming to me with very little previous advanced training and no clientele. And so it's my money that's funding both of those things. And I can verify that through their hiring documents, through the investments I've made, right? I can verify all of that. So here's X amount I've invested in you. And if you want to go do your own thing, fantastic. I made this investment in you, pay me back for it. And so we just had this very open dialogue. And, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, what did you charge her? How did it work out? And so again, it was very organic in that there was no formula initially. I kind of was like, well, when somebody brings this up, I'll figure it out. And she came to me with this, I want to buy these top 10 clients. And I went away and I kind of did a little formula. She was making 40% commission. So I took those 10 clients and I took the value of them in the business over the last year. And I took the 60% that would have been my cut of it. And then I said, well, realistically, up to 60% are going to follow her anyway, So I took that kind of 60% number and I presented it to her and I said, here's the value of these 10 people to me. Or, and this was per the advice of my attorney, he said, Steph, add 15 grand to it and offer the whole thing. And you still retain the right to solicit to these clients as well. This is not her buying exclusive rights to them. This is not you agreeing not to market to them. I said, okay. So I said, it was like, I think her figure was like $30,000, and I said, okay, for 30,000, for, 15,000, you can take 10. For 30,000, I'll sign you out of your non-compete. She said yes. And I gave her a 2-year payment plan. She had to put $5,000 down and she still pays me. She's got another, I think, 8 months or something left of it.
I'm cracking up with this. I'm cracking up because these guys out here that are sitting and listening, especially some of our loyal, we have a growing group on this roundtable, by the way. It seems like every week it goes up. And this is one of the reasons why, because listeners, participants, this could be an idea that brings you tens and tens of thousands of dollars. Stefanie, I feel like I could go all day with you. I got a couple other things for you here before we let go here. Back to the study for a moment, okay? Mm-hmm. And you have some findings as it relates to education. And specifically, 38% of stylists think that education should be paid for by the salon versus 49% of stylists thinks that education is a shared expense. Unpack that one a little bit for us, please.
Yeah, so I asked them directly, who do you think should pay for education? And I was surprised by the percentage that was willing to share it. And what that actually came down to is the connection it has to the non-compete, because right now that's a big topic of conversation. There's a lot of coaches even out there saying like anti-non-compete, don't sign a non-compete. And so I think we have a really savvy workforce, and I think they're recognizing, if I sign something, what's it in exchange for? And so when they think of education, they're like, well, I'd rather pay for it than sign a non-compete, or I'd rather split the cost. And there's actually, and I'll see if I can find it on the survey I've got open in front of me. There's some data around in exchange for a non-compete, for education, they would sign one. If I can.
Well, we can come back to that.
57%. I've got it right here. 57% said they would sign a non-compete in exchange for paid training. So there's a direct correlation when they say they want, to pay for it themselves or have you pay for it, around what their thinking is in terms of their obligation to you long term.
All right. I got a couple other stats. And who the heck says, sometimes I get some random text from someone I don't. Okay. I got a couple other things. I'm good. 45% of stylists said they would take a job without benefits. 56% of stylists would leave a job for not offering benefits. Help me with that one. And we're down kind of in wrap up. So
sure.
I've got one other area here before we wrap up.
I think what we see is, of course, our typical entrant into the salons is somewhere between 18 and like 23. So they really don't care about benefits at that point because their parents probably offered them benefits. They've got some access to them, but what starts to happen is their life starts to change, and they either lose their benefits to their parents, or they just start to recognize the value of benefits. And so it starts to become a deterrent for them keeping a job if they don't think that it's aligning with what they need from their life. So, and there's and I don't think I have it broken down in there, but my survey, the very first page tells you kind of the age breakdown. And I have the ability inside of it to kind of extrapolate the data. And it's interesting that, I should go back and check this. The people that said they would leave, what age bucket did they sit in? I'm going to make an assumption and say they probably sat in a little bit of, closer to the 30 mark or older when it started to become more important to them. And they were thinking, well, maybe I should leave because I don't have benefits and somebody else could give it to me.
All right. Feedback. I'm just going to read this. 42% said they want feedback a few times a month, 38% all the time. Frequency of feedback, and we've talked about this all the time in terms of the importance of feedback and bite-sized chunks and all of that. So, all right, let me just see. Okay, I'm going to come to the comments in a moment, but Stefanie, I just have to pause and thank you for your sharing today. It really was, as Amanda Hare said, golden nuggets. You have several golden nuggets. So I get to officially award you the $1 million light bulb.
Thank you.
A member of our brain trust. So let's everybody give Stefanie a loud virtual applause. Thank you. Stefanie, I need to have some separate conversations with you offline. My brain is going crazy here. The chat is blowing up. So thank you again for joining us and for accepting an invitation that was extended like everybody else at the very, very end and jump into the cause. I had this whole other thing that I was going to cover today, just in case I'm always ready for the roundtable. I'm always ready just because I've got like 100 things I want to do, but it's better to hear from you, and you did a great job. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks everybody for your comments.
All right, so let's see what else we got here. Guys, I'm going to, whoops, I've got to share my screen. If you'll give me a moment. All right, so let's see here. Do I have any announcements I have to see here? Favorite quotes, all progress start when we tell the truth. There's some major truths today by Stefanie. I love it. Qnity in action. I just need to remind of our great coaches out there. We have another one, Candice Gliata. And if you want help, you can book a complimentary gap analysis with Aaron. And that's a great way to see how your business is performing. Grow or go, boy, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world of transition, mergers, sales to key employees and all of that. And I'll continue to share examples. I've got about 5, but I'll save that for another week. Remember, we are doing the roundtable for schools starting May 12th, and we are going to kick that off with three major powerhouse school owners, which I will reveal next week. Closing thoughts. I always love this one. If you want to fly, you have to give up the things that weigh you down. And the area of recruitment, the area of hiring and recruiting and retaining staff is an area I know it weighs many of us down, and I thought it was a great theme. So let me now see who is in the house this week here. And I don't know that I can continue to acknowledge everybody on these calls, but I certainly am going to try. Anna, Amanda, Angela, Aaron. We've got some new faces. Oh, Ashley, Ashley R. That's Riviera. Good morning. Nice to see you, Ashley. Ashley Russell. Another Ashley spelled differently. Bonnie Conte and Bonnie Z from Neroli. Hey guys, Bridget, Britt, Christine B, Christine G, Colleen, Ginger, Holly, Jan, Jennifer Parker. Let's see here. Jean, good morning, John, and Justin, and Carrie, and Carla, Caitlin from our team, Kelly, Kip, good morning, Kip, Landell, Leslie, Linda Thomas, Lisa Justice, Lisa K. Hey, Lonnie, how are you? Hello, Lori, Louisa. Good morning, Linnell and Mary and Melanie and Melissa, Michelle. Boy, you have Michelle B. Mike. You're on with us today. Good morning, Mike Reynolds. Hello, Nina. Rebecca from Lords and Ladies. Hi, Rebecca. Rebecca S. Robert Cromins. Roberto. Sadie. Hi, Sadie. Good morning, Sam Bricata. Sandra, Scott, Sheila, Stephanie, Sue Aaron, Susan from Neroli. Hi, Susan. I'm glad you joined us. I got to get you as a guest coming up. And then I did say Scott, but that's Scott Finley. Hello, Scott. I'm looking forward to talking to you very soon. Let me see what else is in the chat here. A lot of nuggets today. And I can't even cover all of them. So let's leave it at this, guys. Thank you for joining us for week number 43 on the roundtable. We'll see you next week, week number 44. We're going to have Luke Carlson from the fitness industry. I guarantee you, you're going to learn some really cool lessons out of the box, how they do things for recruiting staff, recruiting clients, retaining staff, retaining clients, financial practices. Luke's an innovator, the leader in the fitness industry. So join us next week. We are opening this up to more people, and you're going to start to see the format get richer and richer and richer. I figured, as long as I'm doing this every week, we're going to take it up a few more levels. So anyway, it starts with great guests. So Stefanie, again, thanks for joining us. Thanks to the Qnity team, and we will see all of you in a week. Have a great week, and thank you. Bye.